Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our stream. Let me see here. Make sure I got my image pulled up here. But yeah, I think we're all set to go. We're going to be continuing to work on this cute puppy here. Be sculpting him. It's going to be a shorter stream today, probably only about a couple hours, and then I need to get out of here. But I will be back on tonight, streaming on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel, and that will be at 6 p.m. EST tonight. So I hope to see you guys there, if possible, if you're going to be around. I'm just setting a quick timer so I don't go over this time, just to make sure. Alright, where to begin? Well, we've done a lot so far in yesterday's stream. A lot of blocking out. We started with the sphere. If you missed that, started completely from scratch. And that's right, my pen is broken. I forgot. So that'll be fun to deal with some more. So we started from a sphere. We started with just a quick little block out, pushing and pulling stuff around. Now I'm getting into a stage where I am starting to essentially get into more of a stylized look. So we're getting a little bit further into that range. What I would like to do is, now that I've taken some time off and come back, I want to start making some proportional changes really quick to quite a few different areas here. So we're going to be doing that here for a little bit in the beginning. But let's see. Welcome, Juan. How are you doing? Glad you could make it back. Oh my goodness. There we go. You know, I'm feeling a little bit better about the pen button being messed up. It's not quite as annoying now. So at this point I feel like I'm pretty much used to it. It would be nice if I could use the other button, but you know, muscle memory and everything else I'll get used to it more over time. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Trying to think and talk at the same time. So I don't have perspective on right now, which is fine, but there are some reasons why I'm going to want to turn that on in a little bit here. Turn off that tongue. And I think this is going to be a lot more thin down here on the bottom. What I really need to do is I need to merge this bottom jaw into the neck so I can start getting that flow down there. A little bit more accurate. Right now it's just kind of blending into there because it's two separate pieces of geometry, which is not what we want. So I need to thin this out some. The tongue is kind of, or at least it was kind of throwing me off a little bit. Not hard to see exactly what's going on here. But I'm moving that up just to make sure that this is closed off, because if we go to print this later, we're going to run into issues just making sure everything's watertight, and to avoid a lot of that stuff, I'll just take care of a lot of that early on so we don't have those problems later. Let's see. He back! Kavikum is back! The whole crew back again. And HUD Boy as well. Folly Boy! What's going on, guys? How you doing? As I was mentioning earlier, I will only be streaming for a couple hours this morning. Some family stuff came up, and I'm gonna have to go take care of that for a little while, but I will be back tonight on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel at 6 p.m. EST. So, as long as everything goes according to plan. So we are starting to get into that stylization now. I am going to turn on perspective for a little bit. I'm going to import a different image here. So we've been looking at this one for quite a while. Let me check my references. Let's see. It's not a very good reference. I do like this just because it gives some more information about the side of his face. So let's get this one in there. And I'm using the spotlight tool to do this. I'm actually confused why that imported directly in. I don't think I've ever had that happen. Normally you have to click the add to spotlight button. That was weird. Oh well, we'll take it. And make sure that that's not in the way. You have to mute me? How rude. Alright, so let's see. I'm mainly looking at some transitional areas. So for instance, the ridge of the nose is more narrow than what I have currently. Not only that, but it's also flowing up into this form quite a bit more than what I have. So I'll be trying to make that more accurate. Excuse me. Maybe, oh man. Maybe I'll just die right here. So I'm trying to pull that in, get that a little tighter. Whew! I did not have my tea this morning, so throat is dead. So a little bit more volume down here, I'm thinking. But I'm looking at how this is transitioning through this area. Definitely feels like we're getting more of that ridge right there. And this will be a little bit easier to do in the higher poly one, since we're just in transpose master. I always accidentally call it subtool master. That is not correct. I also want to make this a lot shorter, I think. So I'm mainly just focusing on whatever large changes I can see. And then we'll do some more medium-sized changes, stuff like figuring out eye placement a little bit more accurately. And I talk about this stuff a lot, right? Like big, medium, and small. If you don't know what I'm talking about, like if you're having trouble differentiating between those three, I would say a large change is anything that drastically affects your major silhouetted form. So if you just turn on an all black color, anything that you would anything that would change your silhouette, right? A medium sized change, you're starting to get into those secondary forms. Excuse me. That's when you're starting to get into some of those internal silhouette things, something like here around the eye. If I'm playing with some of this like area, trying to figure out how I want this to transition, I'd consider this area, you know, more of a secondary form, an internal silhouette. And then those small details are going to be little things like any kind of surfacing, folds, fur texture, stuff that we're really not too worried about right now. Have I ever got crashed while streaming before because my ZBrush very often crashes? Yes, many times. You know, it just kind of depends on what you're doing, what kind of operation. But for the most part, you know, I've been pretty good just because I know what kind of stuff tends to crash ZBrush. So not too often, but sometimes it's inevitable. It's gonna happen no matter what. I don't know what is going on with my throat. Whew. Let's try making this a little wider here. Try pulling that out a little bit and probably getting some more volume there. I think we're gonna head out of Transpose Master. I was thinking I was thinking I should go make myself some tea after all this. No, I was thinking that something that I might do for turning this into a Christmas ornament, instead of putting like a hook piece on the head, putting just like a little hole through the back of his head back here, and then you could just slide your little string back through there. So that might be another route that we can take. But we will see once we get more towards that stage. That's just kind of what I was thinking of off of stream. It's like, oh, that might be a good idea. I think it was Julie yesterday during our stream suggested putting a Christmas hat on them, and then you could put a like hook or a hole through that, which I like that idea. And I say put a hat on them because I plan on doing the other puppy as well. There is another pup. Alright, we might get even more thin in the mouth here. Let's see. Let me find a different reference image. Lamentios! Welcome back. How are you doing? Random question. How would you go about aligning edge loops out of a wonky mesh using ZModeler? For example, you want to clean kinda rectangle shape, but the mesh is really rigid and robust because of uneven sides. I'm not sure I completely understand the question. Aligning edge loops from a wonky mesh using ZModeler. So this is something that I did with ZModeler. I just ZRemesh. So for something like this, if I wanted to clean it up, aligning. I'm not sure what you mean by aligning. Do you mean just like making more even? Like, let's see. So here we go. We have our rectangle shape, right? Aligning edge loops out of a wonky mesh using ZModeler. You want to kind of clean up a rectangle shape, but the mesh is really rigid and robust. Not sure what you mean by robust and rigid there, because of uneven sides. So with ZModeler, you can delete edge loops. You can insert edge loops, which is under insert polyloop, all polyloop. You can insert more. If they are uneven, like if you have stuff like this, and you want to even those up, you can maybe just use your smooth brush and try smoothing that, but that might make your surface freak out. So instead of doing something like that, I would recommend just deleting those edge loops and then putting them back in yourself. And then they'll follow the form of the shape a lot more evenly. I'm not sure I'm completely understanding your question, though. Yes, weird lines like that. There's not really, you know, too much you can do. So, like you said, the sides are uneven. So if you got something like this, I would just, like I said, recommend deleting the edge loop, because these vertices will no longer be there to hold that shape, and then you can just put in a new edge loop after that. If you have something like this, I mean, you might be able to smooth it and fix it, like to get it close to where it should be, but it won't be exactly perfect. It'll be close, but you just got to be careful that you're not messing up, you know, other edges as well. It's kind of hard to decide or tell you like what the best action would be without seeing your geometry, though. Let's see. Let's decide on some color. So when I start blocking out color, typically I do so by doing it kind of piecemeal style. I'll select some colors and fill them in like by a slight percentage amount, so we're not doing the whole thing all at once, just to start getting a little bit closer to the color that I want. Let's see. Try to get a little bit more golden, a little bit more saturation here. I just want to at least play around with color just a tad. I'm just sampling these from this photo down here, trying to get that to go away. I was trying to get that a little bit lighter, more saturated. Now we've gone, you know, too far that direction. Whoops, give me like 10% there. Try to get a little bit more yellowy gold in there. And it's hard. My throat is just effed up today. It's hard because there's it's hard to just pick like one color for something like this when you're, you know, just blocking something out. But especially with fur, right? There's just a lot of variation. Trying to find a little bit of a darker cream. What's going on? Are we not adding that? There we go. And then give me that dark patch there. Alright, so let's just start with this for a base. Let me fill in some other stuff here. And this is good to do just to, where's that red? I know he has a red collar, it's just not visible. This is nice to do for a lot of reasons. It can help you figure out proportions and some other stuff, but for right now I'm just kind of, I want to get some color on there just so I can see how things are kind of just shaping up all together, and get a material that will be close to what my colors will look like once I go to print this in SLS full color. For our tongue, we'll go a little bit more pink. BRTTD Bertid, thank you for the follow, and welcome to the stream. For our nose, I'm just gonna sample this darker color here. Probably a little bit less on the blue side. Let's see. There we go. It also helps me catch little things like this. It's poking through where it should not be. This is actually much too deep here of a hole, this gap. So that's actually going to cause a ton of problems during 3D printing. So I'm going to close that up really quick. Let's see. You tried smoothing, but like you said, the surface goes off. Right. Yeah, definitely try the deleting of edge loops and then replacing them in. But for that to work, they have to be perfect edge loops, and I don't know if they are on your mesh. Sometimes just redoing that stuff, though, is a little bit of a better idea than trying to fix what you already have. Let me know if it works out for you. Will this dog also have the party hat ears? No, he will not have the party hat ears. Yes, a puppy. What is going on, Mr. Tommy? Welcome to the stream. Alright. So like I said, just getting a base color on here can be helpful for reading your proportions and getting an idea of what kind of changes you're going to need to make. Right now, I just wanted to get some base color on here. Are these ears off? They were. Slight color difference there. Just getting some poly paint on there. This is not our final color, but just getting an idea of what that will look like is very helpful. When I rotate that, it is changing colors ever so slightly. Let's fix that. That was so weird. I've never seen that glitch before. It's a weird one. Thank you for the follow, Mr. Tommy, and welcome to the stream. Let's see. Let's start merging this bottom lip here, or at least this back portion. I feel like, or you know what? Let's just do a proxy merge. And what that means is just taking a little bit of this that I want to merge down. So just this back portion here. We'll split that off. Or you know what? No, I didn't need to split that. Alright. So I'm taking this little back corner of that mouth. I'm going to merge it to the rest of our puppy head. Javier, welcome to the stream. How you doing? And thank you for the follow as well. We're gonna Dynamesh that together and just keep going from here. So we're starting to get more towards that stylized appeal while we're starting to add in some of this color. And I don't know, the color helps get a feel for a lot of that stuff as well. But I'm merging down just a portion of this lower jaw so that I can start blending this area out a little bit better. Right now it's quite a sharp transition, so I'm working on blending that. Make that a little bit more soft. And I'll be cleaning up the surface quite a bit through a lot of this area. Things are still really rough. Haha, rough. Unintentional puns. Yesterday we were getting all sorts of delectable puns. Alright, a little bit more fill in here. And once we go to merge that down completely, that'll blend a lot nicer. Let's make sure that we're getting a nice line through here. And for these kinds of shapes, I've talked about edge quality a lot on stream, but just making sure that we're not having the same consistency throughout the entire stroke. So if you have a stroke and you start off really strong, really sharp, right? You don't want it to just end, right? You want it to kind of gradually fade out or fade into the stroke, much like what I've done down here. So we will carry through a lot of those shapes, thinking about edge quality. Kind of do some of the same stuff down here. And that doesn't just, you know, follow through for a negative edge that we're putting inside. That also reigns true for any kind of like positive shape. Kind of want to fade that out as it rolls down. And I'll fade that a little bit more as we get an easier surface to work with. Now that we got some nice blending going on down here, let me take a look at this a little bit better. So again, polypaint can just be really helpful for you for figuring out proportional changes that you want to make, and just get an eye on what things are going to look like when they're a little bit more finished. Let's see. My materials are messed up on my head, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. Dynamesh can only remember one of two things, polypaint or poly groups. So if I have poly paint on this, let's see. Whoops. Fill this in, and if I make a poly group here now, if I Dynamesh this, those poly groups will go away, just because it has to remember the poly paint. So if I take a step back and turn off the poly paint, and now I Dynamesh, it will remember those two poly groups, because the poly paint isn't actually applied. This is just, you know, showing whatever I have currently selected, which is a little confusing, but it makes sense once you get in and play with it. Just make sure that, oh no, somebody was just asking about crashes earlier. There's a quick crash for us. I'm sure it'll recover. It looked like it did. But just make sure that that paintbrush icon is unchecked, and then you shouldn't run into any issues there. We shall reload the ZBrush. It looks like we have a recovered ZBrush project. The recovered Z tool did not come through because I was on the wrong tool, so hopefully this project has what we want. Let's make sure this is correct. Yes, that is right where we left off. Perfect. Let's re-import our images because they got removed. We'll grab a different image. Make sure that's visible there on stream. And make sure that our polypaint and everything else is filled in correctly. Alright, so from here, we're gonna probably get a little bit closer to, I'm gonna try deleting this again. Let me do a quick save. I don't know why it crashed. We're just deleting an object. It's not that big of a deal. So let's, now that we've kind of merged in that proxy, I want to start messing with my eyes a little bit more. Start getting them a little bit closer. So we're going to be using ZRemesher and get some subdiv levels that we can play with for a little while. And then adjust some stuff in our eyes. Get a little bit closer to that eye shape. I have chosen to keep the eyelids as a single mesh here during this time. A lot of the time I'll do those separately just because they're easier to manipulate and get extremely clean. We might end up doing that a little bit later depending on how this goes once we start working with these eyes, but we'll see once we get there. And just project this really quick, and then we can sculpt some eyes, or at least refine our eyes. And I will not do another projection, but I will do one more subdiv. Get rid of that old piece. And I will keep the poly paint on while I do some of this. For the most part, though, you know, I'm working on form here, but just seeing some of this color is a little bit helpful. Alright, so I'm going to be rotating around a lot, trying to look at this from as many different views as I possibly can. And get an idea of what we're looking at. So here is this eyelid that I very quickly sculpted in here. This was mainly just done with some damn standard like brushes, just kind of pushing in around there, pinching the edge. The reason why you might want to keep something like this separate, whoops, is because, one second. While you're working on something like this, you know, if you're going to be manipulating this surface, you're going to have to manipulate everything else around it. Sometimes just having that split off makes that process a lot easier, so you only have to work on one area at a time, and it also allows you to independently control your resolution of your geometry, which is something that I really like. Definitely need to get more of a lower lid in here. I think that's going to be a lot more volume. Let's see. We're also going to need to pull down the lid on the outer edge. Yes, those dang crashes. Can't get away from them. And I've made the eyes quite a bit larger right now. And because this is, you know, we're heading more towards stylization here, I've been thinking that I'll probably make them even larger. It just kind of depends exactly what we're gonna do here. But we'll wait a little bit before I do that. Trying to inset these a little bit more. And again, we will be doing more with that lower lid. I think, let's do this. Let's just create a separate piece of geometry for our lower lid right now. Or maybe try that. We'll try this very quickly. The reason why I don't like working this way is because it gets, very difficult to manipulate just one portion of this at a time. I've inset this eye quite a bit. Let's try making sure our eyelid order is going to be good, because right now it is not good. Our lower lid is much further out than our upper lid, which we do not want. Try to get more of a wrap around that eyeball, and try pushing in this lower lid a lot more. Eyelid order is something that's always really important, even on stylized dogs. Typically I talk about it in on my human characters, because it really helps. Eyes are a tough thing to sculpt in general, and the more like little tools that you can have to help make that better. Even I'm not talking about like a brush or a physical tool, but like a mental tool to help you understand what's going on in that area a little bit more, the better off you're going to be. And I'm thinking he's just got so much skin around here, which is one of the reasons why I decided to keep this all together. I do want to split it, but I'm going to try to fight through it. Try to keep it all together. Will be interesting, to say the least. Let's try getting some more volume all through this area. Trim down a little bit on top here. Trying to focus a little bit. So sorry if I'm not talking too much. Trying to fix this area as quick as I can. It's just a lot of layers. I'm trying to kind of compress that all a little bit. And the shape of his lid is actually very similar to what we would see in a stylized female character very often, where you got that like strong straight on that inner lid. It's like a very common shape that you would see. That 1-2 that we have going on right now. It also gives them those sad puppy doge eyes. Let me fix the opacity on that. It's kind of bothering me. Also, it's really hard to grab this eyelid between these layers. Another good reason why splitting these things into separate shapes is a good idea. I'm using Move AccuCurve, which gives me that really sharp kind of pull out there. Which makes it a little bit easier for grabbing these corners. There's definitely too much volume going on here. I need this ridge to be the furthest point out, not the way it is right now. So to do that, let's use some selection tools here for a little bit. Try to get a cleaner selection. So I'm just going to start by getting that actual ridge shape, and then we will adjust the rest of this around here to make that a little bit closer to what we want. And getting a little bit more of an eyelid shape now, actually. Probably do this on the bottom as well. We're definitely a lot more sunken in down along this plane than what I have. So if I can get this plane change to actually occur, that would be great. Right now we just have I think way too much volume. Looking at this, it's kind of sloping and flowing back towards behind the corner of the mouth back here. So if you want to use the Move brush, should you change your model into a low-res version? If you have subdivision levels and you're wanting to use the Move brush to make large-scale changes, like if I want to push in the silhouette here, doing this on a lower res version is easier, because if I do this on a high res version and I try pushing in, what ends up happening is, because there's so much geometry here that can hold this shape, it's going to have this like ridge around the outside of that move that you make. Plus, I can't smooth this out or adjust this form as easily as I could on a lower res mesh. Less polygons mean that it's easier to manipulate. So it's easier to control the less polygons you have. It's a good rule of thumb. Depends on what you're trying to do with your Move brush. The Move brush is the most used brush in ZBrush. Move, move, move. It's like, that's pretty much what, like, if you could do without you could do without any other brush in ZBrush except for the move brush. Like, you need that brush. It's very important. Trying to turn this surface. Not exactly playing nice. AccuCurve is a gift from the Pixo gods. It is pretty nice. I do like it a lot. You have always used the move brush in a high res before if you want to move a little bit of something with the eye, for example. Yeah, you know, you'll get more of a feel for it the more you use it, I think. Yeah, just kind of understand, like, there's so much. There really is just a lot, and there's no like one thing that I can say that's like, do this or think about this one thing, and then your surface will start getting more like clean, and you'll have more control over your surface this way. There's just like so much. There really is. Sculpting is tough. But the more you do it, the more it'll just come naturally to you. Like what I'm doing right now is another kind of one of those things where I'm using a little bit of a pinch brush to start pulling up this ridge, but I'm also, you know, softening the form. I'm essentially doing a combination of a lot of different things to eventually soften this transition, but still have my surface turn be at that point. There's a lot. And it'd be really hard for me to, while doing this, explain everything that I'm doing. I try to explain as much as I can, but you know, like I said, it's a lot. It's tough. Which is why, during my next course that I have planned, we will be doing a lot more of that. Getting into specifics. Because you can know the tools, you can know the software, but until you know, actually do it and get a feel for it yourself, I mean, you'll never be able to figure it out. I mean, you could watch people perform surgery all day. It doesn't mean you're gonna become a master surgeon. You're gonna have to eventually get your hands dirty. Now just trying to get some more of this form around the eye and coming up from the nose. I mean, all this stuff like works together, flowing up from the bridge of the nose, between the eyes, the brows. All this stuff is working together, and I'm just trying to get this to feel more similar to what I'm seeing over here. Some of it's tricky though, because that fur can definitely play some tricks on your eyes with the light and everything else. And some of it's darker than other patches, so that could also indicate that, you know, hey, a form is turning here. Or it could just be that the fur is a completely different color in that area. Which is why I have a few different images of this guy. Excited for when it comes out? Yeah. Awesome. Gonna be a lot larger than anything that I've done in the past, and I plan for it to have some additional components to it. If you've taken one of my courses on my Gumroad before, then it will be much different than that. Much different. There will be some live feedback kind of stuff involved with it as well. So it will be more of a kind of a traditional course. A little bit more of a mentorship in a way. I think I'm gonna Dynamesh this. We got a lot of stuff. It's kind of freaking out. Let's go a little bit higher res. Trying to get this to flow a little bit better through here. Gonna take some really just kind of pushing and pulling on some stuff here. Really breaking stuff. Another reason why I like to keep those eyelids separate Start getting stuff merging together, stuff that we don't necessarily want. Getting a little too thick through this area, which is another reason why we're doing this. I'm hoping that I'll be able to transition all this a little bit more smoothly. Starting to really stretch through here though. Let's try trimming up this area, flattening it out. Just a lot of stuff going on in the surface here that I don't like. Let's see. Let's try really just pulling this ridge down. Exaggerate that a lot more. Alright, we'll continue messing with that. Let's see. Alright, so we've started, we've gotten a lot further on our eyes at this point. I think I want to do a quick general pass on some stuff, and then probably look at the lower portion of the jaw a little bit more, and start thinking about what changes we need to make down there. Then we'll come back up to the eyes after a little bit. Turn on perspective. There's definitely some more work that needs to happen up there, but let's really focus down here for a little bit. Let's see, I don't really have many images looking at this perspective. Guess we can redo our color here. So I don't have a lot of images from this perspective, but I do have one kind of crappy profile view. I was looking at some other images of some Goldens online, which was pretty helpful. So let me see if I can find that again. Golden Retriever profile. This one. Getting an idea for the transitional shapes that we want to see through here. We also want the corners of the mouth. This is why I want to blend those together a little bit earlier, just because currently we have it separated all the way back here. It's another reason why we're going to want to merge that together. So let me take this image and throw this off on the other screen over here. So the corner of the mouth, I think I'm going to go ahead and blend this even a little bit more. So let's do this. Let's go up to about here. And turn off perspective, of course. It's just gonna mess things up. Split hidden. Close holes. Alright, well that didn't work. That did not do what I wanted. Alright, so what I want to start happening is a little bit more of a transition between here. Start getting some of this additional, just extra skin. And a lot more blending between these areas. They're very rough right now, very sharp. And I think we're gonna really pull this out quite a bit more. I'm just doing this a little rough, but who was it? Was it Kavikum was asking about the move brush? Yes. So as you can see, as I'm moving this out at a higher resolution, it's starting to really kind of screw up my surface around that. But I'm just doing a quick rough move so I can start getting this into place. If that's all you're doing, I think it's fine, you know, if you're going to clean it up later. For the most part though, if you can keep that a little bit more clean as you go, you're probably going to be better off later. You're just kind of creating more work for yourself. This shouldn't take too long for me though, so I'm kind of fine with doing it really quick. Start getting some of that in there, based on just what I'm seeing in the profile of this puppy dog over here. Probably a lot more blending up around there. We'll see. You know what? I'll leave that for now. I'll do that later. No holes, please. So I'll be just kind of closing that off in there. And I will be flowing this shape together a little bit more. And then we're going to get a little bit more of a jowl down here. A little bit more of this extra volume. We have been neglecting this area for quite a while. Start with something rough just to get some volume in there, figure out exactly what we want to do. I'm going to move my light just so it's a little bit more direct. Sometimes that helps seeing the underside of geometry. And yeah, we'll just kind of continue that up through there. Make sure we're filling in a lot of this. And I want a little bit of a transition here. Alright, let's take a look at our profile here a little bit more. I think we're going to need to trim back the volume on the bottom even more. We've done this a couple times now already. Let's use, do a quick ZBrush here, just so that this is easier to manipulate. And we're gonna adjust and pull in this bottom ridge here, this bottom edge. Just a little bit. I want this like pretty much not visible from the profile. So hard to rotate with this stupid pen. For those that are new, my pen has been acting up. The button that I normally use is broken now. So I have to use the other one, which makes me have to hold my pen in a completely different way than I'm used to, which is very frustrating. Alright, I want this top edge to tuck in a little bit more as well. So kind of like scale that in. Or better yet, pull out the bottom and push in. Scale is universally going to pull in from all directions, so I don't really want that. Noticed that after I did that operation. Just getting this a little bit more cleaned up. And again, we will be blending a lot of this, so not to worry about that stuff. All this garbage down here. Just really thinning that out. Trying to get a little bit more of a clean shape right now. Take a look at some of this garbage back here, because there's quite a bit. How do I want to transition this now? Let's do something like this. Let's try that. Try to make this all one piece now. Came for the free candy. I don't have any candy. No, the pen can unfortunately not be repaired. It is a hardware issue. Unfortunately, yes. I will either have to buy a new one, or I'm probably just going to use this for a while. Just using this, the setup I have right now. It's not terrible. It works. It's just really annoying. I'll just have to get used to it. I don't really want to spend $100 on a new pen right now. Calling the popo? I have no idea what you're talking about. Did I promise candy? Welcome to my free candy stream. We're just gonna redo this because I was not liking the changes that I was getting there. We need more of the cheese, more of the smile. So I'm gonna work on this all together now. Big old mess. Kind of split that off in there as well. Let's try just a quick close holes. Let's try Dynamesh. Still gonna do the same thing. Dynamesh is a little bit better at closing holes on shapes that wrap around like this. Obviously not in this instance. We'll get it, we'll get it. Alright, let's get in here and fix this up, do a mirror and weld, just to make sure that that is symmetrical there, because it was looking off. Don't want to lose our symmetry. Alright. Maybe just a little bit more of a negative depression down here. And I think just a deformation inflate will help with these edges. I'm getting a lot of problems with how thin they were getting. Even though they're going to blend back in later, just so I can work on this independently. It'll be nicer to have that separated. Let's do like a 1K remesh. Trying to just redo this shape completely because I wasn't liking the direction it was going. And I have neglected it for so long while we've been working on the eyes. So, needs some loving. Needing some loving. Let's see. As we wrap around, let's try getting, I guess an inflate brush will probably work best for something like this. Just like a little bit around there. And make sure just the way that was looking in silhouette was feeling really weird. I just wanted to round that out quite a bit more. Alright. So, the way we're gonna have like a little bit of the ridge here, and then start blending this around the corner back here, right around this point. I think this will help that read a lot more for the cheese, for the smile. Lamentios. I will catch you next time, hopefully. I'll be streaming tonight, actually, on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel. I'll be streaming there at around 6. Come and hang out if anybody's around. I would appreciate some people showing up. Like I said, this stream's going to be a little bit shorter today. I got some family stuff that I need to take care of. And then, if all goes to plan, I should be on tonight at 6. 6 EST, I should say. Shaping up. It is, it's getting there. Slowly but surely, it takes time, you know. I don't have perspective on right now, but we will get there. Let me fix that light real quick. Gotta go game. Have fun, yeah. Enjoy your game. I won't be on here too much longer myself. Will bring puns to the Pixelogic ZBrush stream. Alright. I look forward to the puns. Trying to get a little bit more inflate around the lippers. Got a lot of volume that we're kind of lacking. Remember that we will be going in more of a stylized direction here as we get further and further, so I'm trying to keep that in the back of my head, trying to think about how we can exaggerate some of these forms and also just kind of clean up some stuff, maybe get some nicer internal silhouette lines, kind of like what I've got here, whoops, what I've got here kind of flowing around. Flowing down into the neck. So a little bit more, any way I can find these kinds of things I really like. Really love those internal silhouettes. It's good stuff. In terms of this shape here, let's see. So if I were to merge this together right now, I think I would need, just to make sure that this ridge on the outside is visible everywhere, because it'd be really hard to get that after merging. So let's try getting that little transition in there, just this little edge. Just make sure that's reading well. This surface through here is kind of trash. So let's maybe take an H polish. Trim dynamic wasn't doing exactly what I needed through here. H polish is just a lot stronger, planes out things really fast. Gotta be careful with it though, just because it's so destructive. I mean, in seconds you can really screw stuff up. Same with most of your brushes. I say that about the smooth brush a lot. It's probably one of the most helpful and easily destructive brushes in ZBrush. Ooh. Oh no. Alright. A little bit of some awkward stuff going on through here. Let's try cleaning that up. We are in Dynamesh though, so it's a little difficult. Really quickly. Get that. Yeah, I'm not perfectly happy with the shape right now, so I'm not sure I want to merge that quite yet. Let's see, let's grab our images. I don't have a lot of angled views. This is really the only one here. Let's re-import this, because I really like that we get a little bit more. It's not quite a 3/4 view, but it's the closest I have. For those that are new and just joining us, this is my sister's dog. I am sculpting it for what will most likely become a Christmas ornament, I'm thinking. This is one of 2 of her golden retriever puppies. Not really puppies anymore, but you know, they're always puppies, right? But I would like to, what the plan is, to do something with the head so that we can get like a hook or a piece of string or something through it so that we can turn it into a Christmas ornament. I think that would be a lot of fun. So that is the current plan. Alright, so we have a little bit of a 3/4 view. I think proportionally we just want some of this to move forward and maybe up a little bit, but you see that I'm getting a lot of awkward stretching and stuff going on here because of the high res. So we're going to go into Transpose Master here in just a moment to try to move all this at once. Try to make this a little bit easier on ourselves so we can figure out exactly what we want to do for that expression. Craig, welcome back. How are you doing? Add a Christmas hat? I think that's a good idea. We could do like a Santa hat or something on top. I've never heard people call it a Christmas hat. Is that like a European thing? I've always heard it called a Santa hat here in the US. But that is a good idea. I do like that. Julie was the one that suggested that yesterday on our stream. Yes. my sister's dog, will be very excited when it is done, just because he's excited literally all the time. He's a very good boy. Alright, so now we have something that is low res that we can manipulate. And get in here, and I'll just mask off the ears so I don't affect those. Mask off the eyes, and that should be good. Alright, so I want this to come forward a little bit more. Let's see. I'm going to keep perspective on while I do this as well. Remember that this stuff through here will be blending together. It's only up to like the corner of the mouth there. We want to be thinking about exaggeration and stylization. Let's try getting a little bit of a cleaner curve. Looking through some of this. And looks like we could probably play with the bridge here a little bit more. I think it would be easier to do this with subdivs, but I'll do just like a few like rough moves here really quick. Rough. Har. Keep saying that. I use the word rough a lot. It's not my fault. Gotta keep that surface rough sometimes. There we go. That's starting to feel a lot better. Kind of carry that through. Let's turn off these ears. Make them look like a seal. If you put dog ears on a seal, they would look like a dog. It's fact. Their noses, their like mouths might not be quite as long, but depending on the breed, you know. Some dogs have shorter snouts. Schnout. Schnoz. Schnozzy schnout. Let me see. Let me grab my little profile. Maybe make that nose, maybe make that like a little bit shorter. Let's just really exaggerate that length there. Like, or not exaggerate the length, exaggerate the change in length. Just so I can get an idea of how short I can actually make that before I push it too far. Let's go with about there for now. We can change that later if we need to. I don't think that's too bad. If I'm going to hollow this out, I'll put the escape hole down here. And probably this will probably be too thin in general to hollow out. I guess we'll find out once we get to that stage. Let me see, what size is this right now? It's much larger than, it's about 50% larger than what this is actually going to be. Let's actually, while we're here in transpose, we might as well do this. So we'll go into size. And I will set this to, let's aim for like 2 inches tall. Oh wait, what is that? 2 inches in the Z. That way. That's not what I want. We'll aim for around that size, which is 2.2 inches tall. That's a little bit smaller than where we were. But, you know, these 3D prints are obviously calculated on volume, so making it an inch shorter is significantly decreasing the cubic volume. So, little, even if it's just like, you know, a quarter of an inch, or yeah, sometimes even a few millimeters makes a huge difference. A few millimeters can be the difference between something being able to print or not. If you have something that's really thin, like these dog ears, or, you know, teeth, which is why I'm not sculpting teeth on this at all. I think teeth would be a mistake. They would definitely cause a lot of printing errors. Have to make them very thick, which I just don't even want to worry about. It's also why his mouth isn't open, because that lower jaw would probably be too thin to even print. Let's see, 0.07 inches. That's not even 3 millimeters, 3 to 5 millimeters. So I think 0.12 inches, 0.12 is around 3 millimeters, which is the minimum unsupported wall thickness for SLS full color sandstone, which is what I will be printing in. So we will avoid opening the mouth specifically for that reason. He is shaping pup. Shaping pup. Let's head back to our subtools. Hopefully we don't get any errors with the scale change. If you make very drastic scale changes, it can often result in meshes getting inverted and pushed all around. It can cause a lot of errors, depending on how drastic that scale change is. This wasn't too bad though, so I think you know, we might get some like little pinching in some areas, some deflation, but it looks like it's totally fine. So we are good to move forward and just keep pushing on this. Again, I will be merging this lower piece in that I've created. I wanted to combine this though, so I could start transitioning this a lot better, which we will continue doing. There's like this tight crease through here. We don't want that. We want this to flow all the way through here. So let's do that. And try not to get his tongue sticking through. I'm gonna chop, just delete that. We don't need it. I feel like this is too thick in the snoot. So I think thinning that out might be a good idea. We could do that back in transpose, or we could just do it individually here. I think that would be a good idea. Let's try that really fast here. So just quick mask, make sure that symmetry is on, yes. Quick mask through here. Grab all of that at once. Soften the transition mask. And let's use our transpose line. Pull in. Just a little bit overall, and then probably with a large scale move brush here. Let's turn on perspective as well. Let's narrow that a little bit more. It's feeling very like wide and flat towards the ends there. I wasn't really liking that. didn't really feel too good to me. I think that feels a lot better. We'll continue making large-scale changes just like that, just like little quick things that start pushing something in the correct direction. Obviously, there's more work that we need to do to this area, but you know, something like that can really help you just get your eyes in the right, you know, headed in the right direction, I guess. Help get you in the right mindset, so that you're not constantly wondering, what's wrong with this? Like, I'm tweaking this area, but it still feels wrong. Sometimes just like going into the transpose, like going for a really low subdiv and then just pushing and pulling stuff around, which is what we did on the nose earlier. I was trying to push that in really far, so I just did it really extreme just to get an idea of what that looks like. A lot of the time I'll do stuff like that, just a really extreme form change, just to figure out, hey, is this feeling better? Did I push that a little bit too far? Instead of doing gradual small changes, sometimes big changes at once really help you out. A lot of the time I'll do a really big change, push it further than it needs to go, and then take the time to push it back slowly. So push really far and then just kind of nudge it back a little bit. Just because it's easier to push something a little bit further than it needs to be, rather than continually nudge something over and over and over for an hour. Helps you look at stuff in a new light as well. Alright, I will most likely be transitioning a lot of that form a little bit more, to be a little bit more smooth through here. Let's continue getting some more volume and make sure we're doing okay here. Yes, the dog does have a name. This is Weston. Her other dog's name is Finley. ZBrush, and I see that ZBrush Anatomy. Oh, the book down in the recommended list. What other anatomy books would you recommend? I have a few. I think the one, if you scroll down, you'll see a list of a bunch of stuff that I do recommend. There's a few different books in there. I have one. I think the one that is listed down there is this one that I have on my desk, which is just Anatomy for 3D Artists. This one right here. This guy. Ta-da! Yeah, I like this book a lot. It's not quite as heavy as others in terms of information, but it's just a really good read. It has a lot of really good information in it. And if you're looking for something a little bit more heavy, a little bit more meaty, like literally everything you could ever know, ever want to know, ever need to know. Atlas of Human Anatomy for the Artist by Stephen Rogers Peck. This is just like full of amazing illustrations and information. Every bone, muscle, tendon, ligament, you name it, it's all in there. If you're looking for that like really heavy stuff, I'd recommend this. The other one, though, I think is like a really good read. Like I said, this is something that if there's like something that I'm struggling with or something really specific that I need to look up and figure out, this is my go-to reference. But that's what I got. That's what I got in terms of anatomy books that I recommend. I think Stephen Rogers Peck also has an animal anatomy book for quadrupeds. I think it's him. I'm not positive. I would give it a Google. I can't remember if it's Stephen Rogers Peck or not. Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Check him out. And if you click the link in that recommended list down below, if you are planning on purchasing one of those books, I would appreciate it greatly if you click the link down below to purchase them, because it gives me, what's it called? An affiliate fee. Like, it doesn't cost you anything extra. Amazon gives the people that recommend stuff an affiliate fee, which is nice. You don't have to do anything other than click my recommended link. Don't have to pay anything extra. It just helps out the person that recommends it. It's a pretty nice setup, if I do say so myself. Man, this is really bugging me how I cannot get this to transition the way I want. Get some more volume all the way through. Very cool. Thanks, yo. Let's thicken this up. I have some ZBrush books recommended down there that, I think a lot of the information in them is kind of, it's definitely dated, and I think there's a lot of information that you can find online, but when I started learning ZBrush, there really wasn't much online in terms of, well, I was going to say in terms of free content. There wasn't really much online in terms of content at all. So I had pretty much locked myself away and studied the two ZBrush books that I have down below. Can't remember the author's name off the top of my head. Peterson? No, not Peterson. I can't remember. But they are very good books. If you're new to ZBrush, that is, I would say. They're very, very excellent. Humoro Bot, thank you for the follow and welcome. Man, what is going on here with my pen? Come on. There we go. Cannot draw that mask to save my life. Definitely some unnecessary, like, silhouette waviness going on here. We will take care of that with merging these together, which I will be doing right meow. Let's make sure this edge is still good. I'm gonna hide this stuff for a moment. Hello, what is going on? You clicked something. Oh no. What did you click? We're really going to want to clean up a lot of this form, because there's just a lot of kind of pock marks in our surface that are unnecessary, taking us away from that nice, clean, stylized form that we want. We'll be taking some time to clean up all of that stuff too. But one thing at a time, right? Can't do it all at once. And if you try, you're gonna be very unhappy as things start to spiral out of control. The follow button, yes. Engine boy, hello. Welcome. Alright. I think we are... I'm ready to merge this together. I just want to make sure that this ridge right here isn't the farthest sticking out point. Let's go a little bit smaller here. Makes the silhouette look kind of stupid. There we go. Much better. Alright. So, let's do quick save and get rid of this garbage that we don't need anymore. Delete subdivs, merge down. All one mesh, beautiful. And 1.4 million. Is that okay? Let's see. Let's go a little higher. There we go. That's better. All right, awesome. So we got that merged together throughout the mouth. We still have the ridge line of our mouth, and we can work on, cleaning this up and starting to blend this geometry through here. This is much better than what I was doing before with the mouth. I'm much happier with this result. It's just going to take some time now to clean up and get this to the next level. Let's make sure we're doing okay on time. So I have about 10 or 20 minutes left that I can hang out here. So if you guys have any questions, please get them in now before I need to head out. Is there a little gap in here? No, there is not. Okay. I will be streaming tonight again on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel, on their Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, goes out everywhere. So if you guys will be around, that will be at 6 p.m. EST. I would appreciate it if you came and hung out or just stopped in and said hello. Let's remesh this doggy boy, get him cleaned up, and we can start blending this a lot easier. It's so much easier to do that with low-res stuff. I see so many people that are like new, trying to just use Dynamesh by itself, and they get to this stage and they're combining things or trying to get some of this stuff to blend, and it's just not working for them. Highly recommend doing some reprojection with a lower res model, and then subdivide up and project up through those subdivs. Much easier to work with. What will be the final product? A toy? This is going to be a Christmas ornament that I will be printing for my sister and brother-in-law of their golden retriever. This boy. This very good boy. And I will be printing it in full color sandstone, much like what I have done with these on my desk. I got a bunch of these. If you want to see more of these, there is a link down below. This is a fusion of Spyro the Dragon and Lapras the Pokemon. There is a link down below to my 3D print shop, where I'm not like soliciting you, go buy my stuff. You should. I mean, you should go buy my stuff. But if you want to see some more of those, there's just a link down below where you can check them all out. Yeah, I think it'll be really cool once it's finished. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So we've gotten some suggestions for a Christmas hat, which will be a possibility for something that we could like put a string or a hook through. Another idea that I had was if I didn't want to do a Christmas hat, we could just put a small hole through a portion of the head where, or like back through here or something, that a string could fit through, and then you could hang it up that way. Or we could just put like a hook on top of the head. Christmas hat might work. It could be like the typical red Santa hat, but instead of a fluffy ball on the top, it could be a hook or a loop that you could put a hook through. My only concern with that is how thin it would get up in that area, and I would have to make that ring really, really thick. That's my main concern with why I don't want to do it that way. So I'm kind of leaning towards a hole through a portion of the head to essentially put a string through right now. For projection, how low poly models is how much poly? I'm not sure if you're talking specifically about this instance or what you should aim for. You should just aim for as low resolution as you can go that will still retain your primary shapes through all of this. So I didn't want to lose, you know, the overall silhouette, and I still wanted it to retain this transition through the mouth and some of the stuff in the eyes. You can see that it's retained some of that. So that was around 8,000 polys, 8 or 9,000, just to retain that information. I could have gone lower looking at this, but I didn't really care. You know, this is for 3D print. I just need it to be low enough that I can manipulate it. The more you use ZBrush and the more you do digital sculpting, the less you will ask questions about poly count. It's definitely something that I see a lot, but it is very indicative of someone that is kind of new to modeling, new to trying to figure out all this stuff. In all honesty, it just doesn't matter. It just really doesn't matter. Even if you're creating stuff for real-time like for game, for film, for something that's going to be rendered later, for something that's going to be animated later, it doesn't matter. If you're already in ZBrush, you're probably working from a high to low workflow. So just continue sculpting, continue just getting the geometry that you need to create the form that you need. And then if you're going to retopologize later, if you're going to do some retopo later manually, then you can start worrying about that stuff and just creating enough topology to fit within, you know, what you need. And if you're trying to keep it inside of a poly budget, that makes it even easier for you. Like maybe try to find some requirements online for like a contest or something where they specify, you know, what they want in terms of poly count and map size and everything else. I think limitations can often help you in some way. Get some more volume through here. Let's narrow out our neck. I'm going to turn off the collar while I do this. I do want this kind of nice swoop through here. I'm kind of liking that a lot. Maybe a little bit less so from the profile. Whoops. And we will just pinch up and clean that transiciones. Oh, and I will remind you guys that this Saturday we're going to be doing another live critique here on stream. So if you guys want to get your stuff critiqued here live during our stream on Saturday, all you have to do is email me. It's follygon@gmail.com. I need 3 things from you. I need your Twitch username, so I know who you are. I need your ZTool file. Send me a ZTL, so tool save as. Don't send me a ZBrush project. ZTools only, please. Mr. Animation, thank you for the bits. I appreciate it greatly. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. And the third thing that I need is just some information about your file, your sculpt, whatever you're trying to make. Just tell me about it, what you're trying to achieve, and what you want me to critique, and just try to be as specific as you can. So that'll be this Saturday at noon EST, and I already got one thing that we're going to be critiquing and looking at for that time, but if you want to be involved in that, send your stuff over, and we can take a look. And don't feel like it has to be something that's finished. That's really not the point of this. You know, if you're stuck on something, or if you just want me to take a look in general, we can do that as well. How are you doing, Mr. Animation, and everybody else that is joining us here a little bit later? Welcome to the stream. I am sculpting currently my sister's puppy doge here. It's a golden retriever. VV cute. I have done a lot during our time together, but unfortunately, it is that time where I must leave. The leaving time. I'm gonna have to figure out this. Whoa, that's always a fun little glitch. That happens every once in a while. I will be streaming tonight again on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel at 6 p.m. EST. So come swing by if you will be around. Stop in, say hello. And I am going to find somebody for us to raid. Give a quick raid to. The only other thing I'll shout out on my stream here before I head out is my Gumroad. It's just gumroad.com/Follygon. There's a link below. I'm actually in the process of working on a new, very large, very interactive course that's going to be coming up here in a little bit. But currently I have 3 different courses on here that you guys can check out. Stuff for beginners, intermediate, advanced, and I also do one-on-one mentorships. There's some other stuff on there like brushes, materials, and a ton of other stuff I would greatly appreciate if you checked out. And thank you, Art Dreamer, for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm very quickly, as I mentioned, going to find somebody to give a raid to, unless anybody has a question here at the end that we can take a look at before I head out. Mr. Animation is going back to LA Film School to go and get their BS. Awesome. Get that BS. I already got my BS, so very cool, very cool. Can't wait to get back into ZBrush. That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. Well, best of luck to you. Let me know how that stuff's going. And unfortunately, we're jumping off here because we got to find somebody to raid. There's never any sculptors online. I saw that Ashley was on earlier. Doesn't look like she's on anymore. She must have hopped off. Darn. Oh well. Never any sculptors online. Sometimes some mini painters. Ooh. Found a cool one maybe. Let's check it out. Or if anybody knows anybody online that's doing anything cool, Let's see. Alright, so again, tonight on the Pixelogic ZBrush channel, come swing by, 6 p.m. EST. Gonna be a lot of fun. We'll be working on our puppy dog some more. If you guys are interested in checking this sculpt out from the very beginning of the process, just started from a sphere from completely scratch, you know, from nothing, which is how I do a lot of my stuff. That'll be up on my YouTube channel in just a little bit today. So check it out, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for coming and hanging out, and have a great rest of your day. And where'd the raid button go? It disappeared. This happens sometimes. Alright, see you guys.